thank you, Brendan and Scooter. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, no
Friendship
worries at
game,
all. Yeah.
yeah, friendship game's a ton of fun. Um, well, fun is a weird term to use, maybe in this case. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, Scooter, starting with you, what was it that
Mhm.
made you want to tell this story?
Yeah, I mean, I was actually just looking for a weird project, is really what it was. Dan Beckerman, our producer, I reached out to him. He's been a friend for a long time, and I'd done it small town noir or murder mystery as my first feature, and was just looking for something a little more in the genre weirdness. And he was like, "Boy, do I have something for you!" So he sent over Friendship Game, which is written by Damien Ober, um, and I pitched myself on it, and yeah, they liked kind of where I was coming from and what the vision was. But yeah, I instantly felt specifically for the ending because I just didn't know what to expect. I was genuinely confused by the whole thing, and I loved that feeling.
Well, I love that you said that because I would love to hear your influences on this particular one because this movie, and I say this meaning it in the best of ways, but it's all over the place, and
Mm-hmm.
that's good for this style of film. It sounds like it isn't, but it absolutely is. So what was it that sort of drove your vision for Friendship Game?
Yeah, I think it is a cosmic horror movie. It is adding to that pantheon. So I think what really sort of attracted me to that idea was like a movie like Coherence. I don't know if you've seen that. I've brought that up on a lot of these calls, which is a group of friends getting together and a sort of multiverse event happens, and then you're just thrust into it. And the beautiful thing about that movie and a few other movies that have influenced it is that they start with character
Mm.
and everything goes from there. So the story is built based off of character and based off of character reactions. So that's, I think, that was sort of my initial pitch. I would probably say I'm a character guy. I've always been a character guy, so I think that's the approach needed to start from that heart, and
Mm.
then the craziness can happen on top of that, which it will.
So I think that's what I liked about the film is that this is not a movie about a game. It's a movie about four or well five young people who are caught up
Four
in
4.5.
4.5. Yeah,
Yeah,
caught up in something bigger. It's not Jumanji
yeah,
in that way.
yeah. It really is at its heart. It's about friends leaving high school and sort of the pressure that comes with that. Your kids, your friends are your lifeline. Your parents don't understand you. The school never did either. And when you split up after high school, it feels life and death, even though it isn't. So, what if it was in a
And
film?
I will say, I had Coherence is great, and I had seen some interview you did, Scooter, and it got it back on my radar, and I watched it 2 days ago. It's great.
Did you really? Yeah.
I
Oh,
meant to mention
amazing.
that.
Great film.
Yeah, yeah. Coherence is really
That's so
good.
good.
Yeah, I
Also,
hadn't
thank
seen
you
it
for
at
watching
all.
my interview. That's great.
Yeah, yeah, it was really funny. Yeah,
Well, Brendan, Rob is such an interesting guy. Character, he's such an interesting character, or Robbie, depending on
oh yeah, I don't know, I don't
when he
know.
lets you
It's
call him.
rough.
I was just wondering, for you, how do you connect with the character? What drives him, and what do you think about him?
Yeah, I mean, well, what connected me to the character of Rob, and also I guess the whole project was kind of what Scooter was saying, which is that the sort of horror element of it is this cosmic thing, this game, this kind of unknowable thing messing, with the friends and testing their friendship. But I think what's great is that the entry point of the movie, both as an audience, but then as an actor who's going to play one of the four roles, is that the friendship is being tested by kind of relatable real life circumstances. It's the summer between high school and between a college, and just life stuff that we all go through, or most of us go through, and can go through really at any stage of our life in different forms. um they're really close friends, and it's just not going to be the same thing pretty soon. And that to me was really, really interesting to kind of dig into, and I related to it in that way, especially just like being someone who's moved around a lot for acting and lived in Canada and lived in the States. And you make these really great core relationships with people who I still have friends in every city, and kind of friends from different stages of my life. But yeah, your circumstances change, things change, and friendships may not weaken in terms of how bonded you are to them, but the actual circumstances of how much time you spend with them, the types of things that you're able to be involved with together, just change. And so that was really that in the big picture way really drew me in. And then, yeah, it was interesting, just kind of the way Rob navigates with the friends, and sort of the idea of they're kind of they are kind of like weirdos and fun, such a fun little group, and they kind of have their own language with one another, and I know I have friends like that where you're just sort of, that kind of shared experience. So I related to that, and it was just there was a lot of kind of fun ways into the character, and being the only guy in a group of girls was fun. I've had a lot of female friends over the years, and then now have a whole group of new female friends with literally the actresses from the Friendship Game. We all hang out, the four of us, and it's a very similar dynamic. So that was kind of fun. And then I guess Rob being the only guy in the friend group, is also something that kind of is sort of that's not insignificant to how the plot goes, but I won't say more than that, I guess, if people haven't seen.
Well, first of all, if you're all getting together, hanging out, I hope it doesn't turn out like this.
No, it's been so far it's been great. No, it really has been fun. Whenever the four of us have been back in Vancouver, because we aren't all in Vancouver all the time, but whenever the four of us are all in Vancouver, we've made an effort to get together and hang out. So we've done that a couple of times this year, like at least 3 times this year, which has been really fun. And yeah, it always goes well. It's always fun. As I always say, we won the game. The four of us, our friendship, has survived.
You guys say it survived it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just imagine how
the
awkward.
shoot was great, though. I'm not trying to say that the shoot needed to be survived. It was a wonderful experience. I don't want my words to be misconstrued.
I just imagine the awkwardness of you sitting down and saying, "So, guys, what do you want to do?" And anyway, you want to play a game? Maybe.
Yeah, I found something at a yard sale.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, and you know what I love about these characters too is that they feel very normal. Like they feel like very real characters in an unreal circumstance. Like this is one of the things, like you talking about all 4 of them here. They just seem like normal youth who are preparing for that next stage of life. And I think that really works. I like that you tied into the fact that they're hitting that time of change. They're hitting that space where their relationships are beginning to change. So I guess one of the things I'm wondering is, do you think that? I mean, that's a challenging time of life for every generation. I'm in my 40s now. I'm an old man, but I'm just wondering, like, do you think that things have changed for your generation about those fears about moving forward, and how to maintain those connections?
Yeah, I mean, it is different. I mean, I imagine it's different. I mean, I know that technology has sort of become so, all this social media and stuff has sort of, it wasn't quite that way when I was really young, so I sort of can remember that, but then now I've sort of been through the whole kind of explosion of it, and I think that it is challenging. The one thing that I think is challenging, it can be a good thing, right? Sometimes it can be easier to connect with people. Now we have FaceTime. I have a buddy who is off shooting and he's in Australia, and I can actually physically see his face and talk to him if I want to, like that is amazing. But I think the other thing that's tough is that we are also so connected in a way that can also, I mean, this sounds cliche to say, but can distance us from people, right? Because we are now hyper aware of the things we're missing out on. We're hyper aware of, oh my God, my friends over here, they're doing this cool thing, or, oh, those are the people that I used to hang out with, and now I live here, and now I'm not at that, hangout, or I'm not out at the bar or at the beach or whatever it is, So I actually think that can actually be really trying on people of my generation, and that's not necessarily just something that young people or teens deal with. Everyone deals with it, but I think teens, as a young person, you're more fragile, right? You're more sort of susceptible to that stuff, and so that's why I think that's been the biggest challenge, right? Is you're so connected to all of your friends, and social media is weird. There's times where I'll think to myself, oh, I need to send that person a note. Maybe we could get coffee this weekend, and I open up social media and I see they're traveling, and then I just think, oh, okay, whatever, but then I don't text them, right? It's that weird thing where you're like, it's like so bizarre. Then I don't text them till later because I know they're not free for coffee on Saturday because I see them post a picture of, the Empire State Building or something. I don't know. It's just weird the way social media connects us to our friends, but then can sometimes sort of repel us from them as well in ways that are kind of you don't think about that all the time.
Absolutely.
There is probably something to be said too about any generation, is that, in your teenage years too, you're really kind of learning yourself, and you're finding your, peer group or your friends, your tribe to actually hang out with, and discover yourselves together, which is sort of what these kids are doing. And then once you get into your 20s and once you're into going off into college, you're more learning about the world. So I think in a general sense, and I'm hoping this is the case, is that, as teenagers and sort of our audience as well, which will be a lot of teenagers, I'm sure, all kind of resonate with that, because it is a sort of universal thing, I think, per generation, just because you are learning yourself during that time. The time of change, and not always do you want to change.
Yeah, I like that. It's change, but you don't always have that choice.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, for you both, with that in mind, I mean, we're talking about the friendship game. I'm just wondering, from your perspective, what does true friendship really require? Because there's a really interesting tension going on with this group of friends. Tell me your hopes and dreams. And the question is, be honest, but they're not really that honest. And, as we find out later on in the film, when they initially start to play. So what does it mean to be a true friend?
I'll jump in first. I think
Yeah.
what the game does in a general sense is it asks everybody to tell each other their deepest desire. And their deepest desire across the board, except for Cotton, kind of, is a very selfish desire, and it's about themselves. And I think in order to sort of sustain a friendship, you need to be able to look at somebody else before yourself. And you would want to do more for that person than you would want to do for yourself. And I think that's sort of, to me, what real friendship is. And that's sort of what the game itself tests at its very base level is, Zuza's quite selfish the whole way through until she kind of realizes her errors. And then, that's when, anyways, I don't want to jump into spoiler territory here, but I think it's an important piece of it,
Yeah, I think that's right. I think it's interesting because it's both things. It's sort of, a lot of times you become friends with someone initially because of all the, because it can be easy. Oh, we have the same interests, we have the same sense of humor, we like the same things, we're on the same level. They make me feel more like myself, all this different stuff. So sometimes, the way that a friendship starts can have that sort of selfish, not in a bad way, but selfish sort of thing. But then true friendship is when you start to give a little bit as well. You start to go, okay, I'm friends with this person, so I'm going to hang out with them with something they like to do, or I'm going to stay on the phone with them for an hour to hear them talk about something that's really either exciting them or is, really bothering them, or be like supportive to them in ways that are not just sort of easy. I think you see that a lot in the early parts of friendships. That's how most people become friends with someone, through those kind of more superficial things. And then I think true friendship is when you start making space for them in your life, by giving something up, not necessarily in a negative way. And that's often good, because then sometimes, then it will hope then in a good friendship, they will be there for you. And then when you need a little extra space in your life, you need someone to kind of carry the load a little bit, they'll be there.
I love what you're both talking about there, because I think that's so true for this film too, with these characters, without giving anything away. The relationships have to evolve in order to survive. And I think it sounds very simple when they start to play. Oh, if our friendships survive, it almost, in a completely different way, but it almost sounds like you're going to take a test online or something. Oh, see, we're friends. We passed.
We're
not where
friends.
this game
We're
goes.
friends.
Yeah.
That's funny.
There is like an influence of the object that is sort of pushing them to realize their most selfish desire. And that's really what kind of pushes them apart. And in sort of in the nature of surviving their friendship, they have to be able to kind of look to the other person and give to the other person, and not necessarily be completely selfish. or at least accept people for who they are when they are being selfish.
Yeah, there's something about being real in this movie of hyper reality. There's it, and I think that's hard in any relationship. That's hard in any friendship, is to be real. And so I mean, here they're talking about scared of change. Here's a question for you both: is why are we so if we really trust our friends, why are we so scared to be real? Why do you think? Or these characters, maybe that's easier to answer.
I think it's true of these characters, but I think I would say, because even as we were talking earlier, I was thinking, I mean, I think what happens as you become deeper and deeper friends sometimes is you show more and more shades of yourself, more and more sides of your personality. You wind up also, if you're friends, you might wind up in different types of situations. The two of you together hang out with somebody different or get in a different situation, and all of a sudden your friend might not react the way that you imagine that they would, right? You might think, well, no, we're on the same page about this. Like, what happened? And the true friendship is moving through that. But I think sometimes, especially if you're an insecure person, or you're insecure about an element, or not, or maybe not even like something like that, you sometimes we can be afraid to show new sides of ourselves. We can be unsure, the unknown, right? Because and again, most people don't have a dark side, right? Most people, you're not gonna like realize your friend's a murderer or
Right,
something crazy.
right.
You know what I mean?
To be fair, yeah.
Like, usually these sides will be just complex and okay, but I think that might be where the change in friendship can come. It's this constant sort of human fear of the unknown, of, if I get closer to this person, will I then see stuff I don't like, and well, then that can be scary.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean we should run away from it. Doesn't mean that it should be something we don't embrace. But I can see why that can be scary for some people and for these characters in some circumstances.
And even that reality of like, how will that person judge me now?
Yeah.
And once you can kind of get past that, and the more layers you break down, and the more you show somebody, the less you feel that, or you start to feel that. So you can be more real, and you can say things you would never say to anybody else, or you can do things that you would never do with anybody else. That's an interesting question, but insecurity, I would say.
Yeah, well,
it's
kind of
like, it's human, right?
It's like,
so human to feel that.
Yeah, if they know more about me, they won't like me as much. If I know more about them, will something happen that freaks me out? Yeah
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate that. Guys, I mean, we're running out of time, and I appreciate the chance to chat with you so much. Just one last question for you both. Knowing what you do about the game, would you play?
You almost have to select people to play with, I think.
Yeah, that's what that was more what I was thinking. Yes, like, who would I wind up playing the game with? I mean, yeah, it's interesting. It's oh man, I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know, man. I went through the game. It didn't go amazing.
It didn't go really great for you.
There's a lot of crazy. I don't know if I'd willingly sign up. It's interesting as a thought experiment to imagine if I was forced to go through that with some of my friends. Not so sure. I'm like, what would be great? I need to take another spin at that friendship game. I don't know about that.
That's right.
I mean, there's the caveat of knowing what we know now. So,
right.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably. I mean, I could play the game now. I feel like I already know its little like kinks and stuff.
Yeah. I wouldn't say no to a sequel to the film, The Friendship Game. So I guess, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Is that really the deeper question? Yeah.
That's it. Well, then here's a real question: is like, why would Rob play again? Like, why would he...
no, I don't know. Hey, don't try to get me written out of the sequel, man.
You're right. My mistake. Rob's the one that has it. Actually, he's like, guys, you got to try this.
He has to
Seriously.
play again. He has to
have
play
it here.
again. It's very important. It's very important.
Oh boy.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much for your time. Hopefully we can play again.
Yes.
The return of the friendship game, but honestly, thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate it. I wish you the best and with the film.
Thank you. Yeah, we appreciate you taking the time to chat with us too. Thank you.
Absolutely, anytime. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
You too.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye.
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 Bye, Laura.
Hi, Steve.
Thank
Thanks.
you. No problem. Thank you.
Don't worry, like you never stopped.